Back in 2019, Commissioner Mo Taylor and myself did a town hall like this. We had the county advertise it for the Greenway and sewer issue for Liberty Creek School, which is what we're still dealing with, our Greenway issues or remnants of that for the Liberty Creek campus. How I kind of want to do this, if you guys will be patient with us, I want to open up with prayer real quick. But I would like for us, if you can listen to us discuss business and like what the options are. And then afterwards, would love to take kind of question and answers from the audience that you might have after you've heard us deliberate. I think that might be a good way of doing it, more of a town hall, open forum. So you might have questions or need clarification or not understand something that we've said. We would love to be able to answer that for you here live and in this forum and get everybody clear and on the same page. Does that sound okay with everyone? Any issues? Mr. Klein, would you mind saying a prayer for us?
I would not mind at all. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your great gifts. We thank you for this night tonight that you have brought all these people and all these commissioners and school board member to this table to discuss something that is really important to us, and therefore it's probably really important to you. And that's what is going to happen to the Latimer house at the Brown Park. Lord, we ask that you will give us good discussion, good debate, bring up good points from not only the table but from the people in the audience. We ask you to bless everything we do tonight in the name of your Son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. I want to give you a quick overview of kind of how this meeting came to take place, and then I kind of want to hand it over to Commissioner Jones as he's kind of sent the emails and the documents out to kind of spark this, that caused the cancellation of the meeting and sparked me wanting to do a town hall to have the meeting. Basically, about 3 weeks ago, Chairman of the Gen Ops Committee, Mr. Ben Harris, who's County Commissioner, had called Mr. Mike McClard, who is a board member of the nonprofit called the Friends of the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park. They're an official Tennessee nonprofit public corporation. They have their EIN number with the federal government, and they have also applied to be a 501c3. Tennessee state recognition as a nonprofit public corporation is immediate, as well as getting your employer identification number is immediate. The 501c3 status is not immediate. That takes several months. It could take 3 or 4 months to get that designation back. They filed last week upon kind of knowing that something actually was going to happen. And we're kind of waiting off on that to see, because it's more involved, obviously, to be a 501c3 nonprofit tax deductible than it is to just to be a Tennessee nonprofit corporation. So Mr. Harris had approached Mr. McClard and said, hey, what would the nonprofit, what would they think if the county quitclaim deeded, and this is what Mr. McClard related to me, quitclaim deeded the property, the house, and gave you guys the money to finish the house. And this was Mr. Harris on his own admission, just by himself, not talking to anybody, kind of just spitballing. He's wanting to come up with a solution. Mr. Harris has told me numerous times he wants to see this get done as quickly as possible, which is why I was disappointed this meeting was canceled tonight. But I'm glad he's redoing it next week. So that was kind of 3 weeks ago, I think, and that was the first time I remember they approached me. And I know a quitclaim deed and a lease were never on my radar. We've been fighting for just the county to do the right thing. $500,000 was left as a gift from Mr. Brown to restore and maintain the home as a centerpiece of a park in perpetuity. What a lot of people don't realize or may not know, there's some misconceptions out there that Mr. Brown left the home and the property to the county as a gift, and that is false. Sumner County Commission in 2015, for the sum of $1.95 million, purchased Mr. Brown's home and 150 acres. They also purchased the Dixon property adjoining it, which is 165 acres, for a total of about $3.5 million in that one grouped combined purchase. County Commission purchased what's now the Liberty Creek campus in 2015, totaling approximately 265 acres. And so that is the background on the home. It is owned by the county. Your tax dollars paid for this home and 150 acres that this home sits on for $1.95 million, almost $2 million. Mr. Brown, what happened in his codicil and will, that he basically said, I'm going to live here. I'm selling this to you before I die, and I'm going to live here until I die. And so I'm carving out what's called a life estate, and that was 0.8 acres. There's 0.805 acres exactly, if you want to be specific, for that he lived on. And I know one of his family members, his niece, has emailed the entire county commission as well as the county mayor about 2 weeks ago and clarified what her family's interpretation of a park was. They said, basically, and it's in this packet, which is public information, which is on the county website, and her email is here, so she did say, my interpretation of what would make Bill satisfied by park is grass that is mowed by the county, period. Any invasive shrubs are removed, period. This would be something like, looks like the yard that they had there when he lived there. So that's just a yard. That's her definition of a park. So it's pretty simplistic. It's not amphitheaters and all this other stuff. It's pretty simplistic. So, because obviously the money was left to the county to maintain the home as a centerpiece of a park, and their interpretation of the family is that 1 acre. Now, where it shifted from discussion from quitclaim deed to a lease was, I guess, about 2 weeks ago. I found out from Mr. McClard, I guess, GenOps, and this is Don Schmidt is on GenOps, Tim Jones is on GenOps, General Operations, Mary Janung right here is on GenOps, and David Klein are on GenOps. So we have 4 of the 7 GenOps members here tonight, which is fantastic. Thank you guys for coming. We also have Commissioner Chrissy Miller, Commissioner Bob Brown, Commissioner Deborah Holmes, myself, Commissioner Jeremy Mansfield, and School Board member Stephen King, who represents Liberty Creek. That is his school board district. He also has been on our ad hoc meeting, our ad hoc committee that we've had for a year and a half until it got canceled or disbanded. But he has been on all the meetings going on with this, so it's great to have school board representation as well. But then the county mayor, I guess, put forward a proposal to these GenOps members 2 weeks ago.
Not me.
I guess Commissioner Janung, you didn't get it?
You get it?
I guess Commissioner Klein, did you get about the proposal? Mayor's proposal?
Yes.
Commissioner Schmidt and Commissioner. So I guess 3 of the 4 members here received the proposal from the GenOps committee, I guess from Chairman Harris.
Right.
And in that, it was a proposal from the mayor to, and it's in this packet, to lease the property to the nonprofit, give them the money, and let them finish the house is the gist of it. There's a little bit more to that. Also, he wanted the county to accept Wolfpack Way as a county road, which none of us have a problem with doing that. The niece of Mr. Brown, her email's in here that I read what the family's intention of a park is, just basically mow the lawn and get rid of invasive species. The mayor did also tell her, she called me, and the mayor had emailed her and gave her a 3-point list, was the idea to lease the property in the house, give them the money, and have the nonprofit finish the house. And so that's before he sent his memo out. So the lease has kind of been confirmed from a family member as well as GenOps member, and then from a board member of the House as far as a quitclaim deed option. None of these things were on our radar, as this is all new information. So what I'm getting ready to hand it off to Commissioner Jones right now to kind of go over what he asked the law director to do based on the memo he got from the county mayor. So Tim, do you want to kind of explain to everybody a little bit why we're here?
Sure. So when we got that proposal, it was in just a memo form. The job of a county commissioner is pretty easy. You look into options given before you, and you vote on what option you want to do. Our founding fathers were pretty smart in allowing regular citizens to be able to do this job. The ones that really dig in and try to find other options possible, that's even better. This proposal was said in email from Commissioner Harris that was going to come to the next meeting, which is scheduled tonight, and we would deliberate on it, discuss it, and try to figure something out based on what the mayor proposed. Well, me knowing how meetings typically go, we would have come out of that meeting with directions for the law director to draw something up for us to vote on the next meeting. That's why government takes so long. Everything's slow. And so I took it upon myself to ask the law director to go ahead and take the mayor's proposal, put it in some kind of a legal document. We can vote on that night. We'll make our adjustments to it that night. So he did that. He sent it back to me. I asked him also to make a quick claim deed version of it because I had heard that was mentioned as well. That's what gave me the idea to have 2 options available. I got both of those options, and then I altered those to be the way that I want them to be, knowing that the mayor's proposal was coming forward on its own, and then the 2 options that I would like to come, we had 3 documents to talk about. me going ahead and asking for the mayors to put in a quick claim deed rough draft. These are just rough drafts that came from the law director. We had now 4 options to discuss. If you want to look at it like 2 as lease, a lease agreement, and then 2 as a quick claim deed, 2 of those being the mayor's ideas and 2 of those being my ideas, that's a simple way to do it. One other thing that I included was there was not a means to do what the mayor suggested, which was to give the Friends Of group the money with stipulations on how to use it. So I also created a document that would satisfy that, a legal way to give them the money.
And my apologies, I accidentally left that out of the packet, so if you go online or if you go on my Facebook page and see that link, in this 41-page packet, that when I downloaded his emails, that it got left out, so my
If
apologies.
questions come up about it, I've got it, so I could refer to it if we need to ask questions about it, but it's just not in the package. But anyway, I wanted to come prepared to vote on legal documents, so we had an answer coming out of that committee with how to proceed going forward instead of waiting another month, knowing good and well that this commission is going to change over in another month. So I looked at that as a potential stumbling block. And we've had several over the last 3 years that we've been fighting this. And I did not want there to be any more excuses on why the committee couldn't come forward with a real suggestion on how to get the work going. Because we've tried, we've fought tooth and nail to get something going. So anyway, that's why we have the documents before us now. When I sent that out to the committee, I said I want these considered as options as well. I know the chairman had the mayor's proposal coming forward. I wanted my options to be considered as well, and they were in a better form to start with. 5 minutes after I sent that email, I got a call back saying that's not going to happen. We're going to cancel it. And so I didn't understand it because nobody really had time to read it. It was made me very angry. So I really appreciate you calling this town hall, because once we started sharing around what had happened, a lot of people started getting angry because the people want to know why we're not proceeding with this project. It's ridiculous. It's been 9.5 years since the man died with a simple request. I don't understand why it's taken this long, except for lack of information leads to speculation. You ever heard that before? It seems like there's another agenda for this money and for this property. And I think we need to keep it simple. Whatever evolves out of it after the house is restored and some form of a park is created, so be it. I know it's going to grow. It's going to become something else someday, but at least the house will be protected and restored to its former glory. And the historic significance of it is known and understood by everybody and appreciated, and we've saved another one of our historic houses in Sumner County. So that's the background of how we got to be at this part right here. So I hope that we can discuss some of these documents and maybe come out of here with some sort of loose consensus on what we want to bring forward to the General Operations Committee. That's my intentions. If you have other ideas, if anybody else wants to, offer another idea, that's my hope for this meeting.
Yeah, why don't we, I'd like to discuss kind of like, I guess, take the mayor's actual proposal on page 3. We've all seen the will and codicil, and Mrs. McClard is our codicil reader. She is be glad to read it for us if we need it. And as well as what Mr. Brown's niece, her intention and interpretation is to maintain the house and have a small park legally and morally, as she said in that email that was sent to the county commission and the county mayor, as well as Mr. Latimer. But I guess the memo from that kind of stuck out to me from the mayor when I saw it. Mayor was proposing, the county proposes to lease the Brown house and its grounds to the Friends of the Latimer house for a nominal rent of $1 a year, which is a typical, lease agreement. In exchange, the Friends group would agree to keep the Brown house as the park's permanent centerpiece, to establish, promote, support, maintain the park. And so part of that language is coming from the codicil itself, not all of it. And then he said alongside the lease in that fourth paragraph, the county will transfer the remaining balance of the restricted funds to the Friends of the Latimer house for the ongoing maintenance of the house and park. So it wasn't clear if that meant the county was going to fix it and then give it to them, or if they're going to give it to the county to do it. I interpreted it as, based on his email to Ms. Monitor, was to give them the money to fix it. But there's ambiguity in the this proposal that is not clear. There's a lot of ambiguity, and that's the problem with this I guess proposal. And so he did address creating a distinct parcel, which he mentioned somewhere about being the life estate, which is that 0.8 acres, and then a 20-foot wide easement leading to the property. I read through both of them, Mr. Jones, and I saw where you had put a 50-foot easement, if I'm not mistaken. Can you explain that?
Yeah.
If the county gave them through a lease or a deed the 0.8 acres, let's say an acre for this discussion, and a 20-foot easement, I mean, could even school children and a bus come access the property?
No, that's why I was thinking the easement of, well, it was 20
feet is what he said. 20
so 20 feet. A typical road is like 10 foot wide, and I didn't see any mention in there about a parking area. So if the long term of this house is to have visitors and school children coming over, bus of kids, or just parents coming over with their kids, I saw no parking area. So I thought 50 feet would give 10 feet for roads, and then you could have cars. You could have cars on either side of the easement parking long ways, give 20 foot per car. So I was thinking 20, and a 10-foot path in the middle. That gives us parking all along the easement there, the driveway, if you will. So it just didn't have a means to have parking, and that was just an easier way to do it rather than to plot out some kind of parking lot. Just make the easement 50 feet and be done with it.
Yeah. Another thing was that I saw that was changed from the law directors, from this memo from the law directors, I guess, draft to what you had proposed and sent out to the commission last week. It was on page 4 of the county mayor's proposal. It talks about 3 safeguards framing the arrangement. First was that the lease takes effect only once the Friends of the Latimer House are recognized by the state of Tennessee as a charitable organization, which they are. Second, it wouldn't take effect until they're also recognized by the IRS as a 501c3. And so I think I saw where you had changed that to the lease or the deed would not be contingent upon them being a 501c3. It would be basically go ahead and give it to them. But if they failed to become a 501c3, they have 27 months from the time they came as Tennessee state filing, according to the law. And they've already filed. But let's say the IRS comes back and says, no, we're not going to approve your 501c3. I guess maybe it seemed like the reverter, you had said, hey, if they're not approved as a 501c3, then we can't give them the property. But it was more contingent upon, let's do it now. There's no reason to hold us back for another 4 months because we keep kicking this can down the road and down the road and down the road.
It's all about starting progress. If their intentions are to do this and they show their intentions by applying for these certifications to be 501c3 and the tax exempt status, we know their intentions, and if they don't get it, the reverter clause takes care of that part. So there's no reason to stop and wait for all this to play out, because that could be over 2 years from now. Nobody wants to see that happen. There's no reason why not to get the ball rolling on fixing the house. At the end of the day, the house gets fixed, and if they fail to receive that status, the house is fixed and it turns back over to the county. It's a win-win for everybody. I just didn't see that being a necessary stipulation. I think I knew where he was going with that, and I know his intentions are probably to protect the county, and I think this protects the county, and he wants to make sure that they are striving for that status, and that protects them to know that they are, and the county to know that if they don't, then it comes back to the county. It's a win-win.
The second provision you had is a safeguard that I think you addressed, and the law director had in his drafts, and I think you, in your response, was because the property is owned jointly, the county mayor is proposing a lease requiring approval of both the county commission and the Sumner County School Board. I did see where, on your version, because I guess the problem with that proposal that I had with it is that the school board doesn't have authority to lease property, only the county does, because even, you guys remember when the school board came to us wanting to lease Smith Travel Research for their new learning center over there off Gallatin Road. The county commission had to approve that lease. I mean, the commission can't, I mean, the school board couldn't enter in their own lease agreement. We had to do it for them as a governing body. So I don't see how the county commission would, I don't see how and the law director can correct, chime in if he wants to. I'm not going to put you on the spot right now, but you can hear what we're saying. I don't see how the school board would have the authority to lease, but I did see where you had changed that to like, hey, almost like quit claim deed, give their claim to the property over to the county, so it's kind of clear and free from them, at least that parcel, and then the county could just be the sole lessor in the actual agreement.
People want to say that they have a say-so in it because it's jointly owned property, and if their intentions are to fix this house in any way for the future, then it would be just much easier for them just to give the permission on the front side and let us do the lease on our side. It was as clean and clear way of possible to seek out their intentions and make this not a stumbling block for the school board. So that was the explanation for that.
For the lease part. Now the deed, the quitclaim deed, if I'm not mistaken, if the county and school board wanted a quitclaim deed, both of them would, on the deed, would have to actually sign that.
It's not the same. It would just be a signature.
But I mean, that's different than a lease. I mean,
Yeah.
it's again, the school board doesn't have authority to lease, so it's kind of a
they-
weird area.
Yeah,
But
they don't need to be involved in that because it's basically they would have to ask us to do it for them if they wanted to do it. So they can't do leases.
Yeah, I did include those statutes in our packet at the back. Just there's one statute that I think it's good to understand on page 30. I think, or page 29 is where I start the statutes. Obviously, one is the county commission has authority over county buildings to dispose of them, erect them, whatever. We also have the ability to tax, to maintain. We have the ability to lease is another one. And page 32 is, so basically 31 and 32. 31 is Tennessee Code annotated 5-7-116 that deals with leasing county property. And there's really no restrictions there. I mean, you can just lease it to a business. I mean, like the old courthouse, we could lease it to a company to come in there and run it. I mean, that's kind of how that kind of works.
But the will also, just to reiterate that, the will shows that the county owns that property. They bought it. So it's very clear that.
Correct. The county commission bought the
because
property.
they own it.
Yeah, the county commission is the only authority that is the buying authority, and they bought it. But on page 32, this is an important one where I guess when I was researching this and looking through the county mayor's proposal and what you put, because I've studied this law 4 or 5 years ago when we were dealing with stuff in Cottontown. And this is TCA 12-2-501. And this is basically how the county can give away property that has architectural, archaeological, artistic, cultural, historic, natural, or scenic significance. Or it's the sale of a property, but they could do a nominal sale of $10. Like that's kind of how that works. Same thing as a lease. But basically, under TCA code, under this is how a government would divest itself legally of a historic property or something of cultural significance. They'd be under the statute. And Tennessee state law doesn't even require a 501c3. They only require a Tennessee nonprofit corporation or a trust. So that's all the law requires. It does not require a 501c3. I think it's great that the Latimer Friends of the Latimer House nonprofit has applied to be a 501c3. I think it's smart for them to do that because one, they can do memberships. If this happens, they could. It's tax deductible. They could go after grants, historical grants or stuff like that, and partner on things like that as a 501c3. The Bridal House, the Friends of the Bridal House, is the model that we projected for them to do this after. And the Friends of the Bridal House is a 501c3 that manages the Bridal House on behalf of the county. Now, the Friends of the Bridal House does not have a lease agreement. It was not deeded to them, and the county pays for all maintenance for that historic house. And the Friends of the Bridal House, they run it. They have the key to it, and they do the events there. And they have membership, and they charge admissions. And so to raise funds for it, which is great. You have a group doing that. So the intent that we came up with, actually in a packet back in May and June of 2025, it's been very long-standing, was the intent was to model it off the Friends of the Bridal House. And so 501c3, I think, is a good idea for them to have. I think that makes everybody happier from an accounting standpoint as well, also for them for tax deductibility purposes. But that was, when I read that, that's just, I want to clarify between what the law states versus what somebody's opinion is. And they're two different things. It's like, so one, we want to comply with the law. Two, do we want to add extra safeguards above and beyond what the law requires? And that's for the county commission. That's for you guys to decide. That's what you're going to have to decide next week at Gen Ops. That's what, if it comes to the full commission on the 17th, this is what we'll debate from the floor on these options. But I think I wanted to really clarify that here in this town hall. And if you guys don't understand, ask me a question at the end, come back to these things, mental note, and we'll re-explain it. But I want you guys in the audience to understand what's required versus what's being asked. And they are not the same. So I care about what's the letter of the law. Let's start there.
It's definitely a higher hurdle and unnecessary what the mayor asked for, but I think I captured his intentions with what I put forward.
Yeah, I wouldn't say unnecessary. I mean, I like the idea of the mayor's proposal of them being 501c3. I just don't like.
But it's extra.
Well, I just don't like the fact that it's like they got to wait 3 or 4 months to get their nonprofit status approved by the. They've already applied. I did put their. Mr. Latimer gave me his papers of their 501c3 filing, with the IRS, and his receipt of that, entity formation, the charter from the state, all those things. It's pay.gov for their IRS formation, and that exempt status and their classification, I think, might be in there what they try to classify it as. So, just I want to address the mayor's proposal because that's what hopefully you guys are going to do next week. So the school board that's an issue. The 501c3, that's like these are things that are questions or debatable. I mean, his third requirement or safeguard was that transaction fully complies with all governing legal and fiscal requirements established by state law and by county and school board policy. That's yes. I mean, that's just commonplace stuff. That's what we just described. I mean, and the mayor says, taken together, this is a plan that costs the taxpayers nothing to sustain, places our treasured landmark in the care of an organization devoted to its maintenance, delivers the public a park Mr. Brown asked for as the dress he chose, and keeps every restricted dollar bound to the purpose the Browns intended with that $500,000 gift. So I agree, and he said, I want to encourage the General Operations Committee, ask County Mayor to consider this proposal as the best path forward for the Brown House. And that was the County Mayor's proposal that we're going to get talked about. Mary.
My question, I have two. One, if you did a lease agreement, how long of a lease would it be? Would it be 20 years, 30 years? Because my question is...
99 years
okay, great.
in the dot packet.
Perfect. And then the second one is the reverter clause. We did that with the Prevention Coalition. If they were to not use it for what they were doing, then it would be reverted back. And I think that's smart.
What Commissioner Jones talking about, Gen Ops Committee last year when we were all on it, we gave property to a nonprofit.
They bought it.
Well, they bought it. We gave them grant money to buy it, kind of thing, through our opioid abatement money from all the drug addiction. And they bought it, but we do have a reverter on that deed that says, hey, if you don't use this where it's intended to, or you try to sell it, or you do something else, it comes back to the county and we kick you out. That's kind of how that works.
But I think that is really a necessary evil because if it does become something other than a historical landmark, like it's intended, then it should be clarified in there because I know the Friends of the Latimers would die on a hill for that house, but if they die off and someone else takes it over, some other intention could come up.
Right.
So you have to look for, I always want to look forward thinking on things like that. So I think there needs to be something in that respect in the information.
Well,
I'm not a fan of leases and stuff like this.
Well, the law director draft, as well as Commissioner Jones's revision of it, for both the lease and the quitclaim, all have reverters in the safeguards. They also, if I'm not mistaken, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember here, it also talks about the restriction of the funds. If the funds was given to them, it'd have to go into a separate restricted fund account, not their general operations account. And for the nonprofit, it'd have to be a separate. That's just there. And a requirement also is to be audited every year by the county. I think law requires that they would have to actually turn that into the county clerk, is who actually manages that. It's not the county commission. I think that was written in there. I was doing some research on that. The county clerk would actually, the nonprofit would turn over like an audit every year to that, and I think kind of involves, I'm not sure if it's the comptroller's involved, but kind of an audit accounting of all the funds spent from that gift. If they gave I think the balance is $566,000 right now. And if the county were to give that money or whatever the balance is to them, it would be a restricted account. And my apologies, I did not print out what Commissioner Jones emailed out. It outlined all that, so you...
Well, and my third and final question is directed at Stephen, who's the school board member here tonight. What reason would the school board or the school, that side of it, what reason would they have not to do it? Was there some other thing they want to do?
I mean, I don't see a reason why not to do it. I mean, I have to think a little broader on that, but.
Well, the reason I asked is in the very early on in my commission tenure, they brought forward a park that was humongous. It had an amphitheater, it had all these things that were going to be done. Not a whole lot of regard to the house. And,
yeah, so that was, I think there was a park committee put together. That was county commission.
Yeah.
That wasn't really school board, so that
That's
got.
the only concern I have was that may still be in the back of their brains. That's why I'm really concerned about having strict clauses in there about this or that, and because we're not, in the future, 99 years, you all are going to be dead, and so you're not going to have that liberty to speak for it unless you come down and blow air in their ears or something. But I'm just saying that we really seriously need to think future-wise, because 50 years from now, they're going to be a different group of people running the show. So. That's
Yeah,
what I'm saying.
I can't speak for the board. I just, just off the top of my head, it just, I don't see any reason to deny why, renovating the home, preserving the historical legacy of it.
I think it's a great teaching tool for children.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you have a historic home connected to the American Revolution within walking distance from three of our public schools, and to me that's gold. I would hate to see that torn down, and I'm concerned that had citizens and commissioners not discovered the will and the codicil, it's possible that house may have been demolished and lost forever. So I'm glad that it was discovered. Someone actually read Mr. Brown's will and caught this, and I think I can't imagine the optics if that house gets torn down. And also just from in our ad hoc, I'll just add, from what I understand, the structure is in good shape.
Yeah.
Which is remarkable.
The
after
brick has protected it.
Yeah. So it hasn't deteriorated. And so I can't. Again, I think we have a real treasure.
Yeah, very hard to
So,
A couple of things about that house that I'm concerned about is, number one, it is so valuable because I've never seen a house of that age that had it was built in the 1790s, and then it had an addition done in the 1830s. And the construction techniques are so vastly different between the two. It really is more than just a learning thing for the children. It's to show how much things changed in a 40-year period. My biggest concern right now, after crawling under in the subfloor, is the moisture down there. I'm concerned of what it might be doing to the floor structure. When the construction specialist went down, he and I went down there together. It's very, very wet down there, and there's no immediate damage to the joists. The floor of the log cabin is not the original floor. It must have been replaced at some point, maybe 100 years ago, from what we can tell from the lumber. But it probably was because of the same moisture I ran my hand on one of the joists, and it was just moldy and wet.
Nothing on the ground.
There's no plastic, there's no dehumidifier.
Chairman, can I address.
Yeah,
Commissioner's
I don't want to get too far in the
concerns.
weeds on like history and stuff right now, because
Yeah.
we've covered that for the past like year and a half pretty extensively.
Yeah.
I want to kind of stick to this.
I want to address our
But I do want
concerns.
to bring up something.
Okay, well, you want to, he's going to address your concerns, he wants to read, and then
This may
Commissioner
make
Schmidt's
it
got a
better.
question for Mr. King.
So this is in the reverter clause,
Okay,
page 18, article 16, the reversion. If lessee dissolves, ceases operations, loses charitable status, abandons the property, misuses restricted funds, or materially departs from the purpose established herein, then this lease shall terminate upon notice and expiration of the cure period provided in Article 15. Possession of the premises shall revert to Sumner County. All unexpended restricted funds shall revert to Sumner County, and all improvements funded from the restricted fund shall become Sumner County property without compensation. We added in there that improvements funded from the private contributions, grants, or donated labor and materials raised by lessees shall not become Sumner County property without compensation. If there's relics in there and museum pieces or
Does that answer your
things like
question
in there,
on
does
that, on the
take care of your
converter?
concern?
Now that, is that in the, you're reading from the lease, your version, or
That's
that kind
my
of?
version. That's the revised version, page 18, yes.
Yeah, and I think the,
It's similar to the mayor's, which is on 10.
okay. Well, and the deed also has that same kind of language in a paragraph, basically, hey,
Yeah, it's protected. both
it's
ways.
it's the same kind of language. So it's on all versions, it's just in this packet.
Yeah, thank you.
You want to?
Yeah, so Stephen, if you remember, and you were on the, obviously you and David and were on the Gen Ops when this was brought up, there was a vote to dissolve the ad hoc committee that Commissioner Mansfield was on, Commissioner Miller, et cetera.
I did not
No,
know.
I know. And so at the conclusion of that particular meeting, I was approached by some citizens outside, and they requested that reconsider that by a compromise of the existing ad hoc with the new ad hoc committee. So for the people listening out there, the goal is to try to find cost-saving measures that were work that could be done that didn't require specialists. So my question is did anyone from the new ad hoc committee ever offer any solutions for cost-saving measures like we did that we were looking for? Did anyone have any input to say, well, I don't want to be a part of this ad hoc committee? And because what I would like to know for the people to know is, all right, who from the new ad hoc committee just did not show up? Because I've been saying this repeatedly on a lot of issues in the county, that if we're not at the table talking, whether you agree with me or not, whether you like me or not, or if we're not at the table like this, whoever you are, I don't care if you're the director of schools or the county mayor, if you're not at the table talking, then how are we going to find solutions? So I just want the people to know, and I won't go too far off on the trail with this, but the goal was with that joint ad hoc committee was to have all voices heard, whether you were for a park or you for a house, the house, whatever, to blend those ideas together and come up with some cost-saving solutions. So my concern was that was never done, right? That never
didn't show up?
happened.
What's that?
Who didn't show up? He asked if there
Because I'm just curious, Steve, I
I
think they would
don't-
like to know too.
I mean, we only met a couple of times.
Right.
I know that they appointed board member Kathy Stewart. I can't remember if she came. She came. Okay. I don't think the director of schools ever came.
So director of schools and the county mayor, you
County
guys
mayor
put them
didn't
on, they
come.
never came.
No, and
They never came.
I'll own that, because that's who I wanted on with Commissioner Mansfield, Jones, Miller, et cetera, because I wanted, hey, if you don't agree with him, say it at the table so we know where we stand. But I'm hearing today and I'm confirming today that never happened. So that is quite upsetting and disturbing, because, and it's not pointing fingers, but it's to say, hey, look, here was an opportunity. And a lot of people out there are sitting here today wondering, why are we at this point when we've been in the commission for 4 years and we're still waiting for a house? I've had today or the other day someone said, well, there's no park. Well, the language is they have established a park. The problem I have when I read that is it has not been maintained. It's been established, but it's not been maintained, because I've asked citizens that have attended many of these meetings, have they mowed the lawn? Last Gen Ops meeting, I've asked, has that lawn been cut? I haven't gotten an answer. Have you? Any of you that sit on? So this is why we're here today. And unfortunately, how can we find a solution if not all interested parties are coming to the table is the problem I have. So,
Yeah, I mean, we had that,
appreciate you confirming that.
we met a few times, and then it got dissolved, and we really didn't get any traction on that.
I'd like to
So,
add something to his comments, that while you were trying to do something good by giving opposition a voice, they were unwilling to come because they didn't have votes. And you're supposed to come give your voice, and they didn't do that. On top of that, the mayor didn't attend, but how many meetings the whole year and a half that we were trying to get this?
Talking about in Gen Ops?
Gen Ops, yeah.
Like 2 meetings.
Maybe 2
14
meetings out of a
months.
whole 14 months. So that added to the stumbling blocks that we've had. So it's not for lack of trying. We tried to give everybody a voice. The citizens had a voice. They were very active in this. We knew the direction that the citizens wanted us to go, and that's our job. We are the citizens' voice. Our job is to put it forth, and the other commissioners or school board members that were appointed to that ad hoc committee, they should have come.
Well, I want to address, Commissioner Schmidt brought a point that people said there's not a park, and that's just not true, because the county commission actually has established a park twice by resolution in 2024 and April in 2023 of October. Not October, I might 2025, but we've done it twice. But to address the park, I mean, so we have established a park, but the interpretation, again, Mr. Brown's niece emailed the full county commission and the mayor this was on July 22nd, so a week and a half ago. And one of her emails on July the 8th, she said it's impossible to interpret what Bill, her uncle, thought or wanted beyond what he had stated in his will, period. To maintain the house and have a small park. Legally and morally, for my uncle's wording, that's where I've always been on this, as you know. So that was a letter to the commission and the mayor from a direct descendant of Mr. Brown, of their interpretation. And then that was on July 8th. July 22nd, she emailed like 4 more times on that same day, and she left off with, my interpretation of what would make Bill satisfied by a park is grass mowed by the county. Has not happened. Invasive shrubs are removed. Has never happened. This would be something that looks like the yard that they had there. Well, we have pictures of the yard they had there, and it's just a normal mowed yard of somebody who lives in a house. So that is the intent and purpose of a park. And now it seems like the county mayor in his lease proposal, which you guys can see from the documents online and read his memo, it's public record, it was that he was suggesting the life estate lease of that less than 1 acre become the park. And I know that the Friends of Group has named it the Friends of the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park. That's even the name of their nonprofit, to give homage and honor to Mr. Brown for his gift of $500,000 for the park. And so I think that's important to take away that argument that a park doesn't exist or a park hasn't been established, or what the county's the family's intent is of a park, because it's on public record of what the intent is from the family and their interpretation of the will and codicil. Even going so far as saying to maintain the house and have a small park. She even used those words. So I think that's super important.
Yeah, and I would like to, if I may, just make a comment on that. There was a comment somewhere, forgive me, there's so many moving parts between social media and phone calls and people, but someone insinuated shouldn't go by the will of the people to get this done, because we didn't establish a park. But let me remind that person of this: if there's anybody that would know if a park was established better than anyone sitting in this room today, it was what Commissioner Mansfield just referred to as a family member has confirmed that that park has been established. To my opinion, yeah, I agree with that. The only thing I disagree with is never been maintained. Unless someone has some 11th hour news that this grass has been cut today. As of today, that grass is still growing, and we've asked for it to be known. And I'm saying all this because I want the public to know that we have asked these questions. We're not, there's some comments that, we're just letting the good old boy network get away with this. We're not, and I'm sitting among people here, I'll tell you, that I've disagreed with on certain issues, but what's right is right. So the family member, in my mind, has satisfied any question or any doubt in my mind that there is a park that's been established. If they want to go build something else in the future, that conversation does not need to take place today. Conversation first and foremost should be this house and getting this house fixed and maintained.
I had some questions about your leases,
Yeah,
unless you have
that's fine.
For the public.
I wanted to move it towards issues with anybody having issues with ways that I answered the concerns of the mayors. So if it's along lines with that.
Well, I want to start just with the law director's lease that you asked in the draft, that you sent in that email. Like on page 8 of our packet,
That's the mayor's version.
I'm going to call this the mayor's version of the lease, because it says, it's in the Article 4, Purpose of the Lease section. It says, no other use shall be permitted without written approval of the County Commission and the Sumner County Board of Education outside of these things. So it's like, I have a little bit of problem with that language, because I know at the Bridal House there's been festivals or community groups have come together and done like farmers markets, stuff like that. I don't see the intent or to try to restrict, if we're going to give them a property and let them restore the house and give them money to do it, to like, they're not able to even open it up to have people come to it without written proof of the county. That's goofy. I don't, that makes sense to me.
It seemed too tight-fisted to me also.
Yeah.
And if their intent is what we believe it to be, to promote that house and the historical significance of it, I want as much going on over there as possible. I don't think we should have to run things through the county commission and the school board to do it, because that's so restrictive. That basically puts a clamp down on anything that they can do and delays everything.
It might take 2 years to get approval to do it. That's 2 years.
Yeah, well,
At this rate,
it also would hamstring them. They couldn't raise money for stuff. Like for example, I love the idea of weddings at historical places. Like, why can't people have a wedding at the Bridal House? Why can't people have a wedding on the front lawn of the Latimer house or whatever, and pay a fee to do that, and it goes towards their maintenance fund to preserve the house? Like, if you did something like this, you couldn't do like something as simple like that. You know, if you were to lease it or rent it for that. I mean, it's technically a public park, so I don't know if you could charge for that. But I mean, I'm just spitballing. But I mean, you go outside and take photos as much as you want to because it's a public park. I mean, we can be on the grounds right now. You guys can go walk in there. You're going to get a lot of chiggers and ticks, and maybe snake bit. So I will warn you. But it is a public park, so go walk up to the house and look. If you want to go through the high grass, make sure you have your deep woods off on.
Tigger may be hiding there too.
Tigger may be hiding in the weeds. But
to your point, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Friends of Bridal House, do they? I think I know the answer to this. Do they have to get any kind of permission if they want to have like a?
No, we don't even have a lease with them.
So then again, to me, why should this be different? And I'm asking, I know, a stupid question, but why would we have this?
It was too restrictive, that's why.
So I just wanted to ask, because yours did not include this, I don't think. You can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep, no, you nailed it. That's
Because these are things that I had when I read through. Now, the donor restrictions, yes, I think all of those are normal. Like the restricted maintenance fund, that basically talks about like, hey, this money that we give is restricted only for these things: promotion of the park, mowing the lawn, maintenance of the house, and under no circumstances shall it become unrestricted. Yet, I totally agree with all that. That should be that way. Public access, that was one where I highlighted, for example, like admission fees may only be charged for special programs events approved by the county. Again, from the Commissioner Miller's point, it'd take 2 years to get approval to like, okay, they want to have a Renaissance festival or something, I don't know, a living history day of the Revolutionary War, or a signing of a treaty, kind of like they do at Rock Castle. They wouldn't be able to do anything like that if you had this restrictive of a deed, and so, or a lease. And so I disagree with those types of things, so I think you had knocked those out.
Well, I think I understood what the mayor's intentions to be, and these were just too restrictive. I don't think he wanted to clamp down on them not being able to do anything there. If he did, then that would probably make a lot of people mad. I don't think that's what he was doing. I think he just put out a general lease and maybe threw some language in there that he didn't realize how restrictive it could be, so I loosened it up a little bit to give them the ability to host what we want them to host down there.
I did have a question on, we talked about the 20-foot easement. You put 50. I think it definitely has to be at least a 50-foot easement. I think a road is like 15 feet or 20 feet wide, isn't it?
I was talking about a lane, like a driving lane.
Oh, just one lane.
Cars. I was saying 10 foot for a lane, because like on the highway.
But a road, I think you said a road is 10 feet wide.
Well, the proper easement for any road is 50 feet.
Okay.
Because that goes into your yard, and you start in the center of the road, you measure 25 feet from the center to your property line. And that's what.
That makes it fair and generalized, but I'm thinking for just clearance for a car, a typical lane on a road is 10 feet wide, so I'm thinking if a car driving up the road, since they didn't give us any parking, they're gonna need 10 feet, they need 20 foot to park a car sideways, they need 20 foot to park a car sideways, because the only parking is gonna be on the sides, but it works both ways.
Yeah, because if they're only leaving,
General
if the
rule.
county only gives them .8 acres, they don't have a parking lot.
Exactly.
Maybe you should stop calling it a road and just call it a driveway.
Oh, it's a driveway. I mean, it's a
It's an
driveway.
easement. Yeah, they have to, well, we don't have, there is no
Correct.
access right now, so the county would
But a
have to
20
provide
foot, a 20 foot
these
wide
features.
easement for a driveway, I don't think is enough because
No.
the cars couldn't park on either side.
Exactly.
Correct.
But what
That's-
I'm
I was
saying
trying to kill
is,
two birds with one
put a
stone.
driveway in, how much of an easement on each side of your driveway do you have in your yard in the city?
That's what you're seeking, yes, what it is.
Saying nothing. That's why I think you changed it to 50 versus 20, because 20 would not be enough of an easement.
We have no parking without
Yeah.
it, so just kill two birds with one stone.
I did have a question on the capital improvements. Like it said, no demolition.
If you, while you're
It's like, well, how-
scanning, will you read the article number?
Article
so I can keep up?
Article 10,
Or the
capital
page
improvements,
number?
page 9, Article 10, capital improvements. It says no demolition. I'm like, well, the whole purpose of giving them the money is to demo that part of the house to restore it. And so, that
So, again.
I don't understand that one. So I had a problem. Or no alteration of the exterior historic experience without county approval. Well, again, that's why even give them the house then if you got to have county approval to restore it.
So if you refer to page 16, my version on maintenance.
Okay.
I don't think the mayor intended on them not being able to do any demolition so that they could fix things. So we've been doing explorative demolition all along the way to try to figure out what we have to do.
Yeah, we've hired
I think
Mr. Coker to do demolition twice already.
Right. It was always in the plan to do demolition. I think maybe what he's talking about is just tearing out the east wing and building something new or something crazy like that. I clarified it better in my version because I don't think he was trying to be that restrictive. He can tell me
Okay.
if I'm wrong on
So
that.
you
that
wrote
he was trying to be,
where
but I doubt he would.
Article 10 of the law director's interpretation of the mayor says no demolition, period. No alteration without county approval, period. Any new construction shall require county approval. I mean, so yours says basically change to demolition, alteration, and new construction shall comply with restoration preservation standards which are applicable to historic properties. So that is a lot more freedom.
That's common sense
Well, yeah.
intent. It's got to be what he meant.
Well-
This is just too blunt.
I'm going by what it reads, and but the way it reads, it's like why even give them the property because it means they can't do anything.
Exactly, and I challenge him to correct me on that being wrong, and that's what he actually intended, because I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt that if he's trying to do a good thing here, this is the only way it works with my version. So I hope everybody can get behind that version of it.
I would never estimate what he thinks.
Yeah, I'm not going to speculate on that part, but this is a much cleaner, clearer version. I think everybody could agree on that, I hope.
Insurance, I have a question, and maybe the law director can answer this. I don't understand, and Commissioner Holmes can maybe answer this. I asked her about this because she runs the Ocana Center, which is a late 1800 schoolhouse structure there in off Upper Station Canton, the Ocana Center. And they do have
Hollow.
Long Hollow. I mean, but
But
it's across. So, but the insurance, like I saw workers' compensation insurance. I'm like, is that? I'm just asking, is this kind of just a generic default boilerplate from the law office, or like I don't understand how the Latimer family or the nonprofits running this, and they are doing this for free, and they are just kind of maintaining it. Why would they have workers' compensation insurance? I don't. I'm just the insurance requirement kind of scared me a little
So
bit.
I'm
So
on the insurance board, so the only thing that would be is that the insurance, the building is owned by the county, technically, because it has a lease. So if someone gets hurt doing work on the house, they may claim workers' comp because they're volunteers. Now, volunteers are covered at the EMS under workers' comp. So that could be where that's coming from, because we are self-insured, and they're going to want to make sure that the county is not on the lam for injuries and things like that.
But
Well-
can't that be handled per contractor as need be,
Well-
anytime work is done there?
I don't know, Commissioner Holmes, how much do you guys pay at Ocana for your insurance for the building?
$936 or $38 a year.
Okay,
And
so
that's just general
$1,000 a year to
$1,000.
cover the property.
But we don't have workers' comp. But the difference is, I think it's not a county-owned building. It is owned by the members. So, but yes,
The Bridal House is a county-owned building, so anybody,
Absolutely.
I mean, so the county's
They
covered.
have all that.
I don't know, they wouldn't have
I
anything.
can't
We don't even have
answer
a
that.
lease agreement with the Bridal House. Like, they don't, but we're putting standards on one nonprofit to do the exact same thing that we're not doing to another nonprofit. It's unjust balances and scales is what it is.
Sure,
At this
absolutely.
point. So I don't have a problem with these. I think we need to do it for both of them. I think it's a great idea. So I guess this is a good draft for the next commission to do something for the Bridal House to get something secured up. But
Chris Coker has worked on the Bridal House. He may know if there's a workman's comp.
I mean.
Chris, do you know
probably
about workers?
The insurance that we brought up.
So Chris Coker is
I
a
have my own through my license, but not specifically for them.
Can we just ask the law director on that?
Yeah.
Would be unorthodox, Mr. Law Director, Mr. Sittler, if we left the workers' comp off and let the contractors as needed provide that themselves? Is that something the building needs to maintain in perpetuity?
Are you talking about contracting for people to come in and do work to the property?
I'm talking about the generalized statement that the mayor put on there to throughout the lease, keep workers' compensation.
Article 11.
It just seems silly to keep that all the time.
page 9.
I don't know what the intent of the nonprofit is. If they're going to have employees, then there may be grounds to ask for that, much like a business that leases space from a commercial landlord.
The intent
They're
is
going to
just
have
like the Bridal
certain.
House.
They're not going to have employees. It's a nonprofit. I mean, and it's in their charter.
I understand this, and this is my whole point of when I created a template was, when you all hammer out the details of this, I can craft you something that speaks directly to what you want, but I don't know what the intent of the nonprofit is. I don't know what requirements you're going to place on them. Do we need to have them have any kind of at least contents insurance? There's several different levels of insurance that we're going to be talking about here. It's much like the tourist, tourism. I believe that even though we're leasing that from Rogers Group, we still had a certain amount of insurance that was being carried for contents purposes and damages that could relate to functioning an office in there. Now, they get the benefit of relying on the county for some of that as part of the umbrella, but I'm just saying that these things can morph into many different things.
I don't want this to be a sticking point, and I want it to mimic what the Friends of the Bridal House have at their building.
I can't answer what they have.
They don't have anything.
But is it something that could be easily looked into and written in here without a lot of debate, as long as we're all in agreement that it's good enough to do that?
Well, I see. I'm looking at yours on 16, and you
I
change
just
it
took that part out. With the
from. Yeah, I think tourism coverages. I've seen that stuff. So it's like commercial property coverage, equipment breakdown coverage, commercial general liability coverage, which is what I think is like a general policy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just like a general. That's what he wrote in this. So I'm
That's like-
comparing the two.
Like on your own house, you have terrorism coverage. You
Yeah,
have-
so it's a default
Default.
structure policy. Somebody comes, vandalizes it, burns it down, act of terror, whatever, it's covered.
Mr. Sittler, where it comes to workman's compensation, that's only if you have paid employees. If you have people who are working, donating their time, workman's comp would not cover that, would it?
It depends. We have to honor workman's comp claims for volunteers.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
It also says the county and the Board of Education shall be named additional insurance where appropriate.
And that is common parlance in insurance.
Yeah.
So I've changed that one easy. Just take off. Maybe just Sumner County shall be named as additional insurance.
Well, there's two property owners listed. You need to be specific and who they just go insure.
But
Well, I
the
think-
county is the umbrella that both of them are under. Is that not accurate statement? So the county would be.
I'm talking about the third-party entity, whether it be the nonprofit or whoever that may be. If they obtain insurance, they need to have the county and the school board as a co-insured, regardless of who that entity is that you're entering into the lease with.
Unless the school board quitclaim deed their rights to it over to the county, if they could do something like that. That's what he had in his first part. Because if we're talking about a lease, because the school board doesn't have a statutory authority to lease anything. The only county commission can lease.
I understand that, but I cannot find anything that says a school board cannot own property. So if they can own property, that means they've got a vested interest in that property. So can a lease, we're going way down the rabbit hole here, but can a lease
Well,
be
let's
entered
go.
into with just the nonprofit and the county? Yes, I have found case law that says that can happen. However, that does not remove
The
the
insurance.
property owner. I'm not talking about insurance. I'm talking about the fact that there's a property owner involved, regardless of how this lease goes down.
So to make this cleaner, how much we talking about to add that to it? Add back the workman's comp or put them as a co-insurer?
I mean, you do whatever you want to. We're not voting, so it's just a suggestion.
No, I know, but this is what we're going to propose.
Yeah, next week.
Yeah, to the gen office committee.
Talking about
So-
making changes to yours?
Yeah, so I don't want this to be a sticking point if we're talking a few dollars, to add.
I don't know.
Something bigger in policy. Do you have any idea?
I don't, because, again, it's apples to oranges, not a county-owned building, a county-owned
So can we
building.
ask the law director to explore what would satisfy most people, what the difference would be? Is that something we should do as a?
Talking about cost for the nonprofit?
So we're prepared for, yeah. Because I don't want to break the nonprofit with something that they're never going to use, but if it's something that's required, I want them to be prepared for it as well, so that we're not debating about this for 2 hours next week over insurance. And that be the sticking point, because there's a gotcha moment there where we can say, aha, that's how we're going to
Is
stop
like a
this.
general policy like the
We have
Okina
a-
has versus a
We have
workman's?
we have consultants with the county who help us with this kind of stuff. We can reach out to them and ask them the questions about that. That's what they do. They give us consulting.
Can you do that?
Are there going to be volunteers or employees at this location?
There will be no employees, but there will be volunteers, yes.
Okay, then you'll need to entertain some sort of protection for that.
We've also had people want to volunteer their services to work for free for the restoration and maintenance of this home, which I know, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that can happen as long as the county controls this property. Like, somebody couldn't, an electrician couldn't come up and start working for free on it.
But that is an instance,
Unless
once
there's-
the work is done, it's done. We're talking about in perpetuity,
Okay.
forever, 99 years. The whole lease they have to maintain is really what the debate's about, not the one-time
Okay.
rate for a job being done.
They just really need to shop for workers' comp insurance from an insurance broker and say, hey, what would it cost?
I just want to make sure that what's in this is they're not asking them to have an insurance policy that costs $2,000 a month versus $100 a month or $200.
I understand a lot of this, but here's the problem I'm going to get roped into is I've got a duty. My client's the county. So we're really getting into questions that are being asked to help out the nonprofit, and there will need to be probably some legal representation on their end to ensure that they are covered, because I can't play both sides of the fence here.
Sure.
So my intentions aren't to ask questions to benefit them. My questions are to ask questions that are going to stop stumbling blocks from coming up at the next meeting. I don't want this to be a sticking point. I want there to be what is required and only what is required, and not extra things that are not required, so that we cause a failure and the reverter clause to kick in, or them to never accept it or never be able to sign the lease because it is ridiculously over the amount that they need to have covered. That's my intentions to ask these questions. So if we could get answers of what is the minimum requirement for insurance that will allow them to take over the management of this property.
Mayor, can you find that out? Can you research that?
Bob,
Bob, can you?
He's the chairman.
And the reason we're having this discussion is because like you said, we don't want to trip over our tongues moving something forward, and we've not thought through all the possibilities, because we don't want to waste everybody's time, and it's not even feasible or financially affordable because you can't pay insurance. That's being required.
You said this was on the internet, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still on the county website.
I will fax this to our consultants.
It's on the county website.
Let them look at it.
Yeah.
So we want to put a pin in that one right there to answer questions to be
Yeah,
answered.
it's an important one.
And maybe you could provide us an answer by then of what the requirement is for that. So
Insurance more than meets.
Commissioner Bob Brown is going to provide guidance on that.
I think I think so. Well, I'll quickly move through mine.
And do we want an email sent out between now and then, if you find out between now and then, and copy Lisa, the law director, in?
Yeah, I
So
mean,
we're prepared for
whatever.
that.
Yeah, just the more-
I want
more we
him
know, the
to
better.
be okay with what that
So the
statement
question
said.
is work comp
Required
necessary for
in perpetuity.
perpetuity of the 99-year lease, correct? That's the question.
Yes.
I think it's broader than that. What's the minimum coverage we need to play this
Yes.
game?
There we go.
Yeah.
Find that out, Bob.
Give what the.
If we
what the-
lease.
What we're trying to do, and if we do lease it to them, what are they required to carry?
We haven't talked about a deed yet. A deed, if you were to do a quitclaim deed, you don't have to have any of those restrictions. So that's a whole different
That's
ballgame.
why I came up with this, much cleaner, much quicker,
Well-
and they can move faster.
I do want to address a couple more things real quickly on the law directors, compare and contrast to yours. Again, going back to it's on page 10, Article 14, nonprofit status. Lease shall not become effective until a lessee has received recognition as a Tennessee charitable organization, which they have, or received recognition by the IRS under Section 501c3, which they have not received that recognition yet, and it could take several months. So I just want to make sure that was, my proposal is, and people might disagree, is to strike that out. But I think you might have covered that. I don't know what page that's
I
on.
do have a sticking point on that.
17.
Okay.
Based on 2021 fiscal year, y'all passed a resolution defining criteria for administering outside agency funding requests. And one of the whereases is that the organization is exempt from taxation pursuant to their Internal Revenue Code, and that the taxation pursuant to basically the IRS forms that are required from that are indicated in there. So I don't know if there's a workaround on that or not.
IRS forms application or approval?
I'm just reading this. I just found it about an hour ago.
And this is a resolution that we passed when?
Yes.
Can you read
Yours
it?
is more stringent than the state.
Can you read it fully?
I can email it to you.
How long?
2021. So the previous commission. Okay, so the previous commission passed something that's more stringent than the state one.
I just want to see if the language is application or approval.
Yeah, if you can disseminate that to us. I mean, it's end of the day. I mean, it is what it is. If it's 3 or 4 months, or if we can do it next month or two, this can's been kicked down the road for 9.5 years. So.
Is there any reason that we can't request it just to be a quitclaim deed and kind of clean off?
No, we can't. That's an option. We're going to go that next. I mean, the quitclaim deed seems. I mean, I didn't have any other problems with this lease. I think you covered it all. But I mean, the quitclaim deed. The only changes I see that you made that I had looked at home was, I guess, the name of the nonprofit. It's page 20 is the law director's version of quitclaim. It says Friends of the Latimer House, Inc., and they're not that. So if you go to their version on page 24, it's their name is Friends of the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park. I did note that as being a distinction. I don't think you had very many changes in these documents, just some minor stuff. I didn't see a lot, but both of them is pretty apples to apples comparison of those. I didn't see anything that stood out to me. So I don't know if you want to correct me if I'm wrong on your quitclaim deed version, Tim. Is there anything specific that?
You'd have to ask me a question for me to compare them, because right now I've got so much on my brain. I couldn't tell you.
I just think a quitclaim deed kind of removes all the, the reverter clause, I think.
That's that is, if you read on page
Yeah.
21 and page 25, those are comparing the two documents.
Yeah.
That at the bottom paragraph, it's the basically the reverter,
So
or where it starts.
What I was going to say was that if you do a quitclaim deed and they can get the money and take care of the house, rebuild, redo whatever they got to do to make this a historical entity that will live on forever and people can learn from it and all that, without all of this leasey does, leasey that. I rent houses. I understand leases. they can be broken, there's all things that can happen. But if you have a quitclaim deed to a piece of property and you're entrusted to take care of it with the $500,000 plus, and you're going to redo and take care of it and do what you need to do for it to survive, I think that's the cleanest way to do it. But also, like you said, a reverter if it ends up stopping to be what it is. That's what we did with
the
opioid abatement at the Prevention Coalition, the Old Children Are People's building, because it has a reverter clause in there from way back.
70 something, or
Way
50
back,
something.
and it said if it ceases to exist as a educational program, anything, it reverts back to the city of Gallatin.
Okay, that's right.
So that's where I say, we can leasey, but at the end of the day, it gets real dirty and it gets real complicated, and it's a lot of, you're going to end up arguing with, and I know this commission, you're going to end up arguing with these commissioners for the next 4 years, because that's what they do. They deliberate and they debate, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you quitclaim deed it, these folks that are family and friends and people, they're the ones that are going to take care of it. And by golly, I know just by what I've learned from them and all this, they're going to do it. So let them do it.
Well, if we were voting tonight, voting members, I would like to know who all would support a quitclaim
I
deed.
want to say one thing before you vote on that. The one thing that does stand out that we
Are you on the lease or are you in a deed?
on the quitclaim deed. The only other thing other than what you mentioned.
What page?
is the five-
Tell us the pages.
I'll say page 21 and page 25 compared.
Okay, that's comparing yours
so you,
and the
you
lowest.
called out the difference in the Friends of group. The only other language that's different than quitclaim deed is the name of the house is called out to avoid confusion, because Mr. Brown recognized the historical significance of his house, and it wasn't because he owned it. It was because it was a 200-plus-year-old home that was Revolutionary War era structure, and he wanted that protected. So I named
it says
it
Latimer
what is
House.
known as the Latimer House, the historic Latimer House, and we refer to the William and Martha Brown Park throughout this. So
Yeah, 'cause it was-
I think that was his intention to
It was
recognize
owned.
the Latimer House.
Mr. Tommy Latimer had gave me a book of all the lease and property deeds that I have in my book bag. It was owned by Latimers for like 200 and something years.
Well, everybody that knows this area knows Latimer Lane, how long that is, where it goes to, and correct me if I'm wrong, didn't the Latimers own everything all the way out? The name is so
They own
significant.
about 100 and some odd acres on that road, and then the roads presented my grandfather and his brother, and named it Latimer Lane, I guess. My father always said that Hunter's Lane should have been named Latimer Lane.
Yeah, that whole area. The Latimer name is significant for the house.
And the property was 400 something
And the
acres. Was it
property-
400 acres or 600 acres? That was
640
original.
acres is what the original.
Land grant was back in the 1700s. Okay.
So I thought it proper to call it what it's known for,
Latimer
what
House.
it will ever be known for, the Latimer House, the William Martha Brown Park. That's
Okay.
the only other language that I believe that got changed. The last paragraph's just a little bit longer, and I think it's just because the TCA code 122501 is mentioned in there.
Yes.
So, but I think everything else is the same
Thank you for doing that.
as that. You can go ahead with your statement and or question.
Well, I guess the question is, Don, what are your thoughts on like a lease versus deed, or concerns of one or the other? Like,
Well, for me, I want the cleanest, easiest path for these people to maintain this home. Because here's my take, sitting on the Gen Ops committee, I think 3 out of the 4 years, and listening to them come to every meeting. If this was a job interview for them to take care of this, they've passed it, because they've been on multiple job interviews. They've been to every Gen Ops meeting that we've sat at. And for the record here, is like, if you want to stand up, please do. Anyone against preservation of the house, please tell me.
is there anybody here who is against us preserving this house as we've described tonight?
Because, we've already reviewed in this paperwork and verified by a family member that the park has been established. The only thing I have not seen is it's not been maintained. And all the times that we've been on Gen Ops, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Klein, chaired some of those committees, you have too. There was never anyone for public speaking that said, I don't want any of this, what we're sitting here trying to do today. There was never anyone that spoke up. Of course, we got the keyboard warriors out there, and they're great. You got them all out there to say, well, and all the pretend, lawyers out there that says we can't do this. But they're never at any of these meetings. Right. They're not here. They've never been to one of the joint ad hoc committee meetings. So I would say the people have spoken where I'm looking at it. And so to answer your question, whatever the cleanest, easiest way to get this done and stop kicking this damn can, pardon my language, but I'm starting to get a little mad because I'm frustrated for them. But whatever the easiest, cleanest way to do this without kicking that can down the road even further, because my concern is what and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Jones, my concern is what Commissioner Jones has said on Channel 2 News is that September we have new commissioners coming in. I think there's about 12 of them. You're going to have 12 new ideas, more than likely. My concern is that this thing gets twisted, crumpled, and now we're into 8 years of our terms of trying to get something solved. So I want, to answer your question, bottom line, whatever the cleanest, easiest way so these people can rest at night knowing that this house is finally going to be taken care of is where I want to go.
And just so the record shows, not a single person stood up in a room full of 40-something people.
Correct.
To oppose this plan going forward. I put the lease and the quitclaim deed out there because I've talked to people who are just fearful of the name quitclaim deed. People are worried about the optics of giving something away. And what they need to be thinking about, and I hope that we can get everybody to think this way, I think the quitclaim is also the cleaner version, is it speeds up the whole process, but the reverter clause protects both pathways. If the house gets done much faster with the quitclaim deed, and the Friends of the Latimer House do everything the reverter clause says to do, we have no reason to worry. It's going to be what we wanted it to be. It's going to be a historic home that everybody can come look at and see what things were like back in the day, and kids can come enjoy, and it'll have, be there forever, I hope. But at the end of the day, if they fail, it goes back to the county. And so it's just a much cleaner, faster path. So I encourage everybody to talk to the county commissioners and ask them to vote for the quitclaim deed. But the lease agreement would be the slower way to do the same thing, and it'll be the more expensive way to do the same thing if you have to go through county procedures to get everything done. So maybe we come out of this Gen Ops meeting next week with only 2 options to vote for at the commission. Maybe we come out of it with a backup plan, and we just come out with one option, the quitclaim deed, that gets presented to the full commission. That's what I hope.
And to your point, you made a good point about the quitclaim, and just reminded me of something. When I was first presented with that quitclaim deed, I was the first to say, "Oh no, we can't just give this away," because I've seen them come to these meetings, but there's fail safes. To your point. So there are protections in place, not saying that they would just say something and do something entirely different by not preserving the house or doing what. Mm-hmm. But I do like that there are some fail-safes in here so that citizens know that, they're not going to say one thing and do another. It's already there.
These people are not going to come to meetings for 3 years and sit here and beg and plead, read codicils, and show up over and over and over to all these meetings. And then if it's quitclaim deeded, they're not going to do anything that's going to thwart any more the restoration of this house. So I don't think that's an issue, but if it is an issue, there's clauses in here where it would just come right back to the county. So that's not even an issue for me. I would 100% be in favor for the quitclaim deed because it would make it a faster process, it would be done, and we could move on.
Yeah, and to clarify, that would be for the 0.8 acres, the easement in the home, and the money, let them restore it, and just be done with it. And everybody can keep just doing what they want to around the whole property.
My problem with kicking this can any further than this month is the learning curve that's going to be lost. Because, we've dealt with this whole commission, And then we're gonna have new people come in here that are gonna have to start from zero.
I'm more than happy to educate anybody on this process.
But to his point, it took us a long time to catch up.
Yes.
When it was presented to us, there was a park. We're like, what park?
Yeah.
And then somebody said, don't forget about the house. What house?
November
And we learned,
2023.
and then we found out the budget for the park didn't contain the house. We're like, wait a minute, this doesn't seem right. And we kept learning and learning and learning. It took us a while to catch up. Once we realized what was going on and the egregious error of or purposeful leaving out of the house, we backed up and said, hold on a second, we got to do something to protect this house. And so we learned for a long time, then we tried a lot of action that went nowhere because of the stumbling blocks in front of us. Would it be proper to read the quitclaim deed to make everybody feel at ease of that? It's only one page.
It's up to you. Your version.
I'll read it.
Can I point something out real quick? And this may be a problem.
Sure.
I just want to put it out here now. I have put some more research into it, but basically, we have a statute that authorizes county. This is assuming the school board's not even involved. It authorizes the county to dispose of real property at nominal cost to certain nonprofit corporations. Basically says that the county, upon 2/3 vote of the legislative body, may dispose of real property at a nominal cost by private negotiation and sale to a nonprofit corporation that has received a determination of exemption from the Internal Revenue Service pursuant to 26 U.S.C. 501c3. So I just want you all to understand, as we go down these roads, we may hit new hurdles.
Well, you're just talking about, was that a state statute or is that a case law you just read? Can you?
That's state statute.
What was the number?
57119.
57119. I don't think I included that in the packets. Obviously, I wasn't aware of that. So basically, what you're saying is, regardless if you do a quitclaim deed or a lease, it might be contingent upon them
We
being
keep
a.
running into this.
Well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's if you want to go with what's the law say. So if they don't get their nonprofit status back until October, November, then that's what it is. That's the timeline. I mean, we can't change that. But you're just saying that you found that I'll email you tomorrow and ask you for it or something if you can just send that to me. I'd like to know it.
So essentially, though, with that, the request or the motion, and I'm just going to throw this out there, could be that this could be done as a quitclaim deed to the Friends of the Latimer House, William and Martha Park, with the understanding that if they do not get their 501c status from the Internal Revenue, then it would be reverted back to the county. That could be the motion, and that's it.
That's what I have.
Well, that's I think what is the proposal. But
Yeah.
but what I was arguing that the law director is countering is that we shouldn't have to wait until we get that back. Let's just do it now. Let them get started, but for some reason, if it doesn't happen, then they got to give it back. At least they got started. We're not waiting till December. They can start. They can start in September, October, like in the fall. Because once you get December, you're getting to winter months and rain, and you're getting into spring. And here we go. We're going into 11 years of nothing being done on this property. But from what the law director is saying is that we might have to wait, regardless, whether it's a quitclaim deed or a lease, to transfer property to them and money.
They've been waiting 3.5 years.
They've been coming since November of 2023, every single month. And every single month.
So a few more months isn't going to make them go home and not come back. They'll be back.
Well, I think Commissioner Schmidt's point is not having another commission just debating and arguing
Well,
this
they'll
and
have
putting
to
the brakes
hear
on
it.
it for another 4 years.
They'll have to hear it. What I'm saying, though, is, I know somebody said something about, the school board won't like that. Well, gee whiz, the school board, back in the early 2000s, quitclaim deed Union School, the old Union School in Gallatin, to the Shalom Center for $1.
So they gave away school property to
Right.
county property to a nonprofit.
Right,
It's a big structure.
and a lot of acreage.
Okay, so the
it
school
can
board
be
has a
done.
precedent of doing this.
Yeah, it can be done, and I have the paperwork to prove that.
That's good to know.
So you could have the county commission approve this, and you can have the school board not approve it if they have to be involved in that regard. So then that's going to be a problem the citizens will have to have with the school board of being obstructionists at that point. So and there's a lot of hurdles here still.
I would
but
say and he's right, they probably need to get their funds together and get them an attorney who can guide them through the process so that they have attorney privilege with their lawyer about what they're doing. They can represent them, and it gives precedent, you know. It's not just, I don't know.
I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not going to tell them what to do.
I get it, but I'm just saying that the quitclaim
So-
deed is a much better way to go than a
Do
lease.
you want to read it real quick?
Stinks.
I mean, I don't want to keep on taking, I want to give time for people to comment from the audience.
Page 24. Anybody else has a copy of it? So.
I mean, 25?
No, 24 is what it's.
Oh, it starts, okay.
Okay. Know all persons by these presents that the County of Sumner, the County of Sumner, Tennessee, and the Sumner County School Board by and at the direction of the Sumner County Board of County Commissioners and the Sumner County School Board grantor for and in consideration of the sum of $10 and no cents, $10 and no cents, cash in hand paid and for other good and valuable consideration, the receipt of which is hereby acknowledged, do hereby release, remise, quit claim, and give unto Friends of the Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park, a Tennessee nonprofit public benefit corporation grantee, all right, title, and interest of grantor in and to a certain tract or parcel of land in Sumner County, Tennessee, being more particularly described as follows. Being the same property conveyed to grantor by warranty deed recorded on, see Exhibit A attached, and that's where we're going to have the original .8 acres on there. That was
It
the
doesn't
light
exist
estate.
yet.
That was going to be the light estate. We're going to establish those markers that are already out there. We have the meets and bounds for that. To have and hold the same unto the grantee, its successors, and assigns forever, subject, however, to the following covenants, conditions, restrictions, and rights of reverter, all of which shall constitute covenants running with the land and shall be binding upon grantee and all successors and assigns. The property shall forever be used solely for the preservation, maintenance, and operation of the historic Latimer House as the permanent centerpiece of the William and Martha Brown Park, and in support of the establishment, promotion, support, and maintenance of said park, consistent with the charitable intent expressed by William I. Brown in his last will and testament and codicil number 1. The property shall remain open for public use and enjoyment subject only to reasonable rules governing hours of operation, public safety, preservation, and maintenance. The property shall be used for commercial. Thank you. Property shall not be used for commercial, residential development, industrial purposes, private residential occupancy, any use inconsistent with the operation of the historic Latimer House as the permanent centerpiece of the public park, any purpose inconsistent with the donor's charitable intent. The historic Latimer House shall remain permanently situated upon the property. The historic Latimer House shall not be demolished, materially altered, relocated, or destroyed, except as may be necessary to restore, preserve the structure. Grantee shall not sell, transfer, mortgage, encumber, lease, assign, or otherwise convey any interest in the property without the prior written approval of the Sumner County Commission and any additional approvals required by law. Should grantee cease to operate the property as the historic Latimer House at the William and Martha Brown Park, fail to preserve the historic Latimer House, abandon the property, cease to be a Tennessee nonprofit corporation in good standing with the Tennessee Secretary of State, that status being the basis on which this conveyance is authorized under TCA 12-2501, dissolve or materially violate the restrictions contained herein, the grantor shall have the immediate right to declare this conveyance forfeited, and title to the property shall automatically revert to the Sumner County, Tennessee, together with all improvements located thereon. The restrictions contained herein shall be specifically enforceable. Grantor may pursue any remedy available at law or in equity, including specific performance, injunctive relief, declaratory judgment, quiet title, reentry, or any other remedy authorized under Tennessee law. Failure of grantor to enforce any restrictions shall not constitute a waiver of future enforcement. Pretty basic.
So,
Protections are in place.
well, I'm just curious, straw poll, like, there's a table, I think there's 8 of us commissioners and 1 school board member. Would you all be in favor of a
quick claim deed as generally written here, obviously. In show of hands, who all would be in favor of that at the table?
Yeah, I would be, and I'll just say I would be in favor of that because, and I'm just speaking as myself, as a school board member, we got enough properties to deal with. You know, the school board has 52 buildings, millions of square foot of space that we have to manage. I think it's a relief to know that there's going to be a nonprofit that's going to manage this without us having to, you know, helicopter parent over this property. And like I said, we have enough properties to deal with, and so that's why I would support this. I think it's kind of a relief to know that it's going to be in such good hands. And anyway, yes.
So as a school board member, you supported a quick claim deed. We have 8 commissioners here that would. To what you're saying, in the county mayor's memo that he proposed, he says, direct county operation of a house and neighborhood park is neither the county's core function nor the most faithful way to honor a gift that calls for ongoing care, promotion, and preservation. So even the county mayor acknowledges that the county needs a solution that places the property in devoted hands, keeps the restricted funds locked to the purpose Mr. Brown named, and delivers the park at the address Mr. Brown specified. So,
And I just want to say that those funds that are specified with a quick claim will stretch way further than they would going through government hoops.
Government red tape.
I
Well-
mean, we might could get that done. I mean, the house could get way farther.
we've got a budget. We have a budget of $507,000 we came up with in June of 2025. That included a 10% contingency on the entire project. It also included $30,000 in architecture fees. Now, Mr. Coker has already told us that this is a residential home. It doesn't need an architect. The only reason an architect is involved is because if it's a county-owned building, state law requires any construction done over $50,000, you are mandated by law to hire an architect. Now, this is some lobbyist back in the day who had a friend at Capitol Hill and wanted to have their friends be able to be on projects. So that's how that state law really came about.
On top of that, you get the bids.
Well, so, and another problem is any county property, their procurement and financing property on bids, anything over $25,000, you have to send it out to be competitively bid, put on the county website, 4 to 6 weeks. People come out, it's a closed bid, they open it up, and they pick whoever the lowest bidder is. And so there's a lot of hurdles to the county owning this property to slow this down. But if we were to give this property to them, I want to make sure that we cancel the architect contract. I don't know why the county mayor signed it on July 22nd, the same day I think that he actually sent that proposal to the Gen Ops Committee, because now it's basically saying that we want to use these architects to spend another $40,000, which isn't necessary. And so if we can save $40,000 and cancel, we have 7 days to cancel the contract with an architect, and that's how it's written, and we can do that. So I would propose, Gen Ops, you guys do that next week as part of this, is that you cancel that or put it on, suspend it, because I don't know how if they're starting to drain money down, because we could do this project for $490,000, renovate the entire house, and that includes landscaping, parking area, lighting, security, stuff like that, and then have almost $80,000 or $90,000 left over in the restricted fund to maintain the house. That goes for a lot of maintenance, a lot of years forward.
And park.
And the park, the 1 acre park, maintains that, the grass, getting rid of invasive weed species, planting natural grasses, whatever, trees, a fencing, around it, all those things that constitute a park, put some benches up there, whatever. But it definitely financially makes a ton more sense to get it out of the county's hands, because you are, whether it's even according to the law director, a lease would also do that, according to Attorney General's opinion that I spoke with him about, because I didn't think that a lease would allow the county, being the owner, that they could get out of all these requirements, but they can, according to the Attorney General's opinion. When a county leases a property to some other entity and they're controlling it, that entity does not fall under the state laws that the county is required to be under. So we're talking saving easily $30,000, $40,000 off the top that could go towards the preservation of this home or in parks, which is a huge, huge thing that needs to happen. So, but that only happens if we actually
quit claim deed this to them as fast as possible, or at least that's very liberal towards them, like a quit claim deed would be.
I've got a question. If I could ask the law director, the statute you gave 57119, we talked about how the county could quit claim deed the property. You had mentioned 2/3 vote. Is the hurdle majority only for the lease version?
I have to double check that. I don't know.
So that's where I guess I'm confused on, also state law, because of statute 12-2-501 for selling / giving this property to them. It's only a majority vote and it doesn't require a 501c3. So we've got competing state statutes going on here. So I guess I need clarification, because according to 12-2-501, it's a majority vote. It doesn't have to be a 501c3, and you can give them the property. So that is a big question I have.
Thank you for printing that out. Where do you see that?
On the top paragraph.
Top paragraph.
Page 32?
Yes.
Yeah. Upon majority vote.
Just majority vote. It's the middle, second sentence, right in the middle of the paragraph.
Paragraph number what?
1. Just the first paragraph.
Okay.
It's right there. It says, upon majority vote, the local legislative body may dispose of real property or personal property by private negotiation and sale where it's significant for architectural, archaeological, artistic, cultural, historic associations, or significant for its relationship to other property that's significant for these things, basically. And so the real or personal property is to be sold to a nonprofit corporation or trust whose purposes include the preservation or conservation of real or personal properties of architectural, archaeological, artistic, cultural, historical, natural, or scenic significance. Blah, blah, blah. That's kind of like that, but that statute's pretty clear on, so that's why I'm confused on what this other statute is or how they're competing, in my opinion, right now. I'm not sure.
That's, 119 specifically says 2/3 vote.
Can you research, compare, and contrast, and Travis doesn't have an answer for us?
Well,
which one overrides the
All right,
You
we've
always
been
like
sitting here
that stuff,
for
right?
an hour and 40 minutes. I think we need to wait for last question.
I agree. So are you guys clear on, any more questions from commissioners?
No. I've got my question.
All right, questions from the audience. Can you stand up and say your name?
Yeah, if you don't mind me going first, I just have to leave as soon as I can. My name is Bill Heron. I live in Cottontown, Cummings Lane, down by Garrison Branch, and just 2 miles from the school. And on a project I did in Cottontown for a couple of years, I learned a lot about the community and people that live in the community. But one of the persons I interviewed on the project was Ted Adams. You might know Ted Adams, Ted and Tammy. He's a builder in Sumner County for many years. She's a nurse. They've been friends of William and Martha Brown since 1979. And during my interview, he showed me pictures that, because they cleaned out everything in the house, and Bill Brown gave them all his personal belongings and stuff. But getting to the point, talking to Ted recently, I said, what would happen if Bill came back to life and knew what had happened from his will? What do you think? He goes, he'd be pissed off, Bill. He'd be really pissed off, because he wanted that named after him and his wife, and that's the whole reason for doing it. $7.5 million later.
Well, the $7.5 million has nothing to do with this property. That's a technology trust, and that's not.
The $500,000 that he did for the actual park is what he was referring to, and he was pissed off because he just wanted it named after him and his wife. Secondly, is the left hand being superintendent of Sumner County School, Scott Langford? Does he work hand in hand with Mayor Isbell? Because he put out a plea 11 months ago. We are at a critical juncture for the Brown Park. Mr. Brown left $500,000 for a park in memory of his wife and him. Sumner County received a grant from the state for another $625,000. We are in jeopardy of losing the grant if the county commission does not act quickly. The park includes a full cross-country course which will dramatically expand cross-country opportunities for students across the county. He goes on and on for the next couple of paragraphs about how important cross-country is, and that park is going to make it happen and do all that. So he wants to spend $1 million in his statement on Facebook for that park, but doesn't mention the house in any way, shape, or form. So is the school disconnected from, per se, the county members in working hand in hand to accomplish William and Bill Brown's wishes to have Park and his house maintained and restored?
Some of them have been, yes. And I'll go ahead and some false things that have been promulgated about that $625,000. So what the previous director of schools and the previous county mayor prior to 2022 did is they wrongfully confiscated that $500,000. They commingled it with a technology trust that had nothing to do with the home or the property.
Is that under Anthony Holt?
Yes, and Dale Phillips. So the previous county mayor and the previous director of schools.
And they did it unilaterally without.
So let me answer this question though. So this is, you asked a very direct question. I want to give you a very direct answer. So it took us almost 2 years as a county commission when they discovered this in Gen Ops, when they were on this, most of them, back in 2023 when this came up, and they found out, wait a minute, there was $500,000 given to the county, not the school board, the county, for the maintenance of the home as a centerpiece for a park. So it took us almost 2 years to get the county mayor and the director of schools to give the county that money back. We passed 2 resolutions, a lot of public pressure, thanks to channels like Fox 17. Karen Aguilar did a great job covering this and getting pressure, almost 2 years, about a solid year and a half, to even get that money back into the county coffers. That happened like April of 2025 when they finally gave the money back after a year and a half of fighting them just to call the money back so we can fix the house. And so what the previous county commission and the school board wasn't involved. It was the previous county commission under the direction of the previous county mayor and previous director of schools. They wrongfully confiscated that $500,000 from the codicil and will. Then they were applying $125,000 of taxpayer money. They applied for a matching state grant 1-to-1 where the state was going to give $625,000 to match what the county was using. And here's a kicker: there was a TDEC grant for a park that literally drew the house out of the boundary and made it illegal to use any of that money from that grant to even restore the house. It excluded it. And that plan in 2020 was $1.2 million in 2020. It was $1.25 million in 2020. Today you're looking at probably $1.7 to $1.9 million for the same plan of what they wanted to do. And so they confiscated that money wrongfully, I say illegally, immorally, whatever, and they excluded the home. You couldn't even use that $625,000 grant from the state, which is taxpayer money. It ain't free money, it's your money. Couldn't even use it for the house. So it's a false narrative being promulgated by the director of schools. And that is the crux of that. And even worse, the county commission and County Commissioner Klein has uncovered from the finance department. He and I were talking about this. He shared this with me. Over $200,000 that has already been spent on those previous defunct park plans. So this is taxpayer money, not Mr. Brown's codicil money. Over $200,000 has been spent for a defunct park plan. So they're just wasting taxpayer money when we're just fighting to get $500,000 in interest just to restore the man's home as he asked us to do. And so that is, I hope I can clarify for you, that's the actual facts of what happened.
Drew up an operational plan saying we're going to do this first, do that second, this third, and accomplish the goal at the end with the commission, with the mayor, and with the school. No one did all that, saying this is concrete, sign off on it, everybody go and let's do it. They started spending money on a
park that did not that excluded the home.
Yeah.
And here, I'm glad you brought the cross country. I did a public records request of the finance department just the past couple months, and the old cross country coach at Liberty Creek actually was inquiring about what happened to this cross country park. And I noticed on July 17th, County Mayor Isabel had the architects that the county commission hired through Gen Ops redraw the plans to include a pavilion that had restrooms. And that was July 17th, and this email from this previous track coach was asking about a pavilion with restrooms for cross country. Well, the pavilion that they designed in 2020 was $425,000, a pavilion with a restroom. So the county mayor doesn't have authority, in my opinion, to supersede the will of the General Operations Committee that met April 16th, 2026, gave instructions, selective demo, so the architects can come up with a plan that we can put it out to bid. This is for all the lease stuff that started happening 3 weeks ago, and quit claim deed conversations. So the problem is, now the county mayor has instructed the architect, which costs money, for them to modify a plan to put a pavilion with a restroom that would cost $425,000. Well, where's the money going to come from for the house? Like, that's not part of what it's not what General Ops approved in April, and it's not what anybody asked for. The county mayor, with no authority, went and had the architect do that. And that's a problem. So I'm glad you brought up the cross-country aspect. And I don't know if you want to speak to this at all.
I mean, to my knowledge, there's been no proposal of a cross-country course at that park. There's nothing stopping us from having a cross-country course there right now.
His Facebook
So,
tweet was on 11 months ago. So
right, yeah, that's the first time anyone had heard that, to my knowledge, was in that video that was posted on Facebook.
So did that answer your question?
So,
to clarify that?
yeah, and now the original park plan that from 2020, it included, it had a trailhead, an overlook area, amphitheater, trails, parking, creek crossing, and a pavilion, but there was nothing in this diagram or in any of these, in any of this about a cross-country course. And again, that's 88 acres there. There's nothing stopping a cross-country course from being there right now. And so I think that was just trying to leverage athletics to influence a decision, and that was around the time of all this bleacher stuff going on, so yeah, to my knowledge, that that was not ever it was never in jeopardy if there was a cross country course.
It was never a part of a park plan either.
It was not, right.
It was never.
The ludicrous part about it is cross country can literally be run anywhere.
I was on cross country.
Yeah, it's designed to run out.
It's a 265-acre campus.
You got 88 acres in that parcel.
You mow
for that, yeah,
you mow a
right now.
you go anywhere. And so,
Another question?
Yeah, just the last one I can get out of here. Peyton Kennedy of ABC 2 News, WKRN, I apologize. April 8, 2025, interviewed Mayor Isbell and asked about the project he's undertaking in Cottontown to restore and do flood mitigation and all that good stuff. And I quoted him, we value, this is Mayor Isbell saying, we value our history in Sumner County. We love it. My great-great-great-grandfather purchased a land grant here in Sumner County in 1788. My fifth great uncle Zachariah Isbell is one of the 13 who signed the compact, found Tennessee was going to become the state, and he wants to make sure historical sites are protected, quote unquote, and he wants to make sure there's an effort to protect it for the future. Historical sites are protected, so it's like when you protect them, quote unquote. So that was in 25. And I'm sure he's working hand in hand with you guys to accomplish that.
Absolutely not.
So you want to take this or you want me to take this?
That's just way you can find it online. It's always on the source.
That came after much pressure from citizens and commissioners. A few commissioners that are sitting at this table actually walked those creeks in Cottontown.
Multiple times, multiple rain events.
I mean, had rubber boots on and trying to determine ourselves. She had heels on. She stayed on the banks. But we were there in pouring down rain to see how it really acted, and we wanted to see where the actual flooding was coming from, and we determined it had been from years of neglect of nobody cleaning out the creeks. Back in the days, the farmers would go get gravel and put it on their land and stuff, but since all the restrictiveness of TDEC and the Corps of Engineers make it to where you have to get a permit, that prevented people from just going in without applying for a permit. It's been told from the county mayor's position, the previous county mayor and the current county mayor, that you cannot do that without a permit. Well, nobody ever said how to get a permit. It's very easy to get a permit. We found out you just go down and ask them, and there's certain stipulations you have to go by, and you can go in there and get gravel and do whatever you want to do. It's pretty easy to do. I think it's a phone call even, right?
Yeah.
And you can do it while you're waiting for the permit to be approved, as long as you stay within the bounds that they say. So not doing any cleanup was neglectful, but it was wrong information being passed to the citizens that you can't do this. You can't do this without a permit. It should have been being done for decades, and after the flood of 2010, 2010, a lot of things were damaged and never got fixed. And so we did a lot of the work. We contacted Army Corps of Engineers and TDEC. We met with them on site without the mayor.
Walked
He
through
was
the
never
creeks.
there.
Mm-mm.
They finally started talking about doing some of the work, and it was then that Mayor John Isbell came in and acted and signed off on it to be done and did the interview. But all the preliminary work was done by commissioners that cared about Cottontown.
When we had the planning director, we walked with the Army Corps of Engineers, with TDEC, and the planning director, and a couple of us, we walked those creeks and told them the problems. And then the planning director came up with a plan for that flood mitigation, and that we've approved in our budgets for Cottontown, including even purchasing a dilapidated home that's not a historic home that was causing that's what's causing a lot of flooding in
I
that
asked
creek.
Isabel if I could buy the old post office, small little house.
Yeah.
Draper House.
Draper House.
Well, not the Draper House, the one next to it.
Yeah, it's the old post office and the Draper House. They're connected. They were connected by a breezeway, so they
Right,
yeah.
right.
That's the historic
And
Draper House, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he said it's not for sale. I guess there's,
Well, we stopped. They were going to tear it down, and we stopped them from tearing it down. They tore down. They tore down the old Cottontown
Yeah.
Community Center, which is a schoolhouse in the 1800s, and there was nothing wrong with it. And so,
the county's trying to buy the Church of Christ so they can tear it down and make it Greenway. But the Church of Christ says nicely, no.
yeah. Well, it all comes down to greenways. That's what started this. Any other questions? Anybody else have a
Thank you,
question?
everybody. Good
Thank
job.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Herron.
Any questions out there about what we've talked about?
You mentioned the Church of Christ. I'm a member of the Church of Christ.
Okay, there you go.
I believe I met with you down there.
David and I held, David and I held a meeting at the Church of Christ, pretty much into this at the very beginning.
I remember you coming down there.
I got a question. I am Robert Dickinson, second of Sumner County my whole life. It's a very educational. Everything I've learned here, everything I've watched, everything I didn't know about. And whether you get the quick thing going or it goes over to the next commission, it's still going to be educational. The people that take on the restoration, do they have like boundaries where, I'll tell you because I saw it at the Bridal House, they had plates. They looked like very expensive plates. It was part of the restoration of their home. So the people that take on this project, do they have like 10% for like accessories, 10% for certain things, and then 10%, or is it just?
Are you talking about like refurnishing it?
For any of it, do they have like boundaries set? Because if they end up doing something else with their time, and it reverts back. How can you say that 500,000 didn't go to, to one mirror, or is it? Do you have like a template?
We've got a published budget that's been a part of the county record for the past 14 months that we have actually breakdown of all that is proposed in the budget to be spent on for the restoration. You got to do selective demo, restoration, and preservation of the home and what it's for. And the bulk of it is going to be, it's all for just your main construction items. And so, but if it seems like you're talking about retrofitting it, like, can you find period pieces of here's what the living room would look like with chairs and stuff like that. But that's the idea. That's the goal is furnishings, but we haven't got that far yet. I mean, that's way down there. We can't even. We've been fighting for 3 years. We've had a plan ready. It took us 2 years to get the money almost, and we've been waiting 14 months to implement our plan. We've had it there that we can do it under budget and with great amount of time that we cannot get this commission to move forward on. They've been stopping us and stonewalling us. The county mayor, it's frustrating, and these guys are here because they're frustrated. We're here because we're frustrated. So as far as like, they'd be great, but I know what the Bridal House did. They got donations. They went out and sought things to get to those period pieces. It'd be wonderful to furnish the home with all those living, pieces of period as much as possible, or restorations, I guess, reproductions. But yeah, I mean, anything that would be, I would assume, if you're talking about reverter that is put in there and it reverts back to the county. I mean, that's a good question. It's like if this Friends of Nonprofit group furnishes it, it's not a part of the restricted funds. They do it outside of that. Does that go back to them? I wouldn't think it would.
No, that's actually.
He maybe talks about it, but like anything that's for the home would stay in the home because it's for the home. And if they can't take care of it, why were they going to empty it out? I wouldn't want that to happen.
Yeah, so you got the budget, like, you already know how much light bulbs cost, and you got everything ready for them. They just need to take on the responsibility and spend it. So it's
Right, we're ready for them.
Excellent. Have you enjoyed the educational part where it's taken so long? If I wrote a book and I sold it to the university that said this is what happened and this is something you can teach, use as a teaching material, maybe it's...
Not to do.
Yeah, entitled "How Not to Run."
Well, that's all fun. That's all fun and games. The commissioners, they may change soon, may not. But you make the textbook, you sell the textbook. Because it is the oldest house in the county.
One of them. I don't know if there might be a couple
There's
that's.
others that are older.
This
I've
is-
got one across the street from me.
This is built in the 1790s, and so I think most of the houses are competing around the 1790s. I don't know which one's authoritatively the oldest. I know the Bradford Berry House, I think, in Hendersonville is like the 1790s as well, if I'm not mistaken. Chris, does that sound about right? Chris, this is Chris Coker. He is the contractor we've worked with. We've hired. We would like to do the work, but he's worked on Bledsoe Ford. He's worked on Craig Font, I think, Rosemont. He's worked on the Bridal House multiple
You can
times.
take all this information and maybe use it on a different house, like the house he was talking about, and it would pretty much be finished.
The problem is you're going to have new commissions over that period of time, and they're going to choose to do things at their will.
But are you asking about this house or a different house? I don't
I'm saying we
understand.
could use this for
As a model? As a model?
The educational part, there's so much money in that education part. I absolutely love this. No matter how it plays out, the man got the educational part out that we wanted, minus the part where they named it after him and his wife. But I love that part. I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you're frustrated. I'm glad you're gathering so much about it and have a plan built that someone else can use, even the new commission, for other houses. I'm really glad you guys are here. I want to thank you for that. I know it's been long, you've been working through it and doing it for a long time. I think that you can take all these tools and all this information and just easily switch it to another house like that. And the new commission won't be able to say anything because you worked out all the details.
Well, my recommendation is to anybody is not to leave property or money to the county. I think that's the number one thing.
Because I was going to say that the issue with that is another commissioner will be done despite. You can do anything you want with 13 votes in the county commission. And so if there's a hidden agenda to use that money to leverage it for something else that you want, that's what happened here. So there's a model there of how it should be done, but that doesn't guarantee they're going to follow it because 13 people can change the will of the body. So.
Just in the back, we got another
We had
question.
one up here too.
Okay. Oh.
Lady.
In the green?
Yeah, in the green.
Joe.
Oh, were you first? Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say that we do have older, because Douglas Park is 1786.
So Doug, yeah, Doug, and that's a county owned.
Beat us about 10 years right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
They're all within that period.
About that, how is the Douglas Park House run and maintained?
Very differently.
And how did that happen?
So the county commission, the previous one, and I say previous one, this was like the 2010 to 12, 14 county commission. So, probably 12, 14 years ago, they got the state to do a grant to actually fund it, which put a lot of restrictions, and they hired, this is our employee that runs it. Part of the grant requirement was to fund an employee full-time to be open 5 days a week, 8 to 5, and it's run as just like this county building is. So that's a totally different thing. And we're not doing that because it's not going through, our recommendations are not to go through any historical societies, something like that beforehand. Because if you try to do that beforehand, they're going to make you use iron nails that you've chiseled from 1790s and wear blouses to put it together. I mean, it's a totally different thing. So the goal is to we've got a limited budget. We can do it under that budget. We're confident of that, and barring no big surprises, and then restore it and make it as replicable as possible to look like this on the outside. This log cabin. This is what's underneath that brick. Is this structure. This is like just a watercolor artist rendering of what could be, but this is what the red roof, the back structure, this is what the house can look like. This is actually what it does look like, just probably an uglier version because it's not been taken care of in 70 years because it's got brick on it.
Next question.
All right, question over here.
Joseph Richardson, you made a comment that kind of led me to wonder about this, and this may be too long of an answer that can be at a different time and place, but who did Mr. Brown actually leave the property and money to?
He did not leave the property to anybody. The county commission bought it. And you weren't here when I said that earlier. The county commission bought his home and 150 acres for $1,950,000. So he didn't give it to anybody. What he did do is gave the county $500,000 to restore that home and maintain it as a centerpiece of a park in his and his wife's name, which we've done. We've named the park twice, William and Martha Brown Park. They even named the nonprofit, Friends of the Latimer House, at the William and Martha Brown Park. And the money was left to the county for that maintenance of that home as the centerpiece of that park.
So that kind of is my question. Why, I understand that the school controls that property.
They don't.
Well, okay.
They think they do.
That's
They
what
don't.
I want to know. Why are they even involved in the decision making?
Because the way
They not leave that money to
the
them.
property is the deed is in the school board's and the county's joint name. However, the will and codicil left the money only to the county, not the school board, to maintain it as a park and that home as a centerpiece of the park. So it got convoluted. I mean,
They seized on the idea of the park and thought that would be a way to create and fill their 88 acres between all of these schools, and they just neglected the house with the grant that they chose. So that's where it got
I was
convoluted.
told by a former Hendersonville city alderman about 6 months ago, and he made a comment, I know people on both sides of this issue. And I said, what do you mean both sides of the issue? I mean, there's people who want to see the house fall down and go away versus people who want to restore it. And he said, yes. I said, are these current elected officials in the county commission as well as people in the school system? He said, yes. So that has been the intent and goal, and that's why they drew the house out of the entire that plan, is because I think they wanted to. I've got an old map of the original school drawings, plat, and with greenways coming through it, and it literally doesn't include the house. Like they were going to put a school on top of where the house was, like knock it down.
That property, that campus, is the largest by far in Sumner County, 265 acres. It exceeds every other school campus. They have to come up with something.
I think Station Camp is 30 acres, and it has 3 schools on it, and a lot of fields.
So that's enormous. They're trying to come up with a way to fill all that land.
It's all about development, but we won't go down that rabbit hole. You can follow our Facebook pages to find out all about that.
So when the park was established, how many acres were designated for the park?
We didn't determine. Well, right now
Because it was still the life estate at that time. It was still the. It hadn't been absorbed by the planning commission into the.
No.
It merged the second he died.
So the second he died, all of the property merged into one 88-acre parcel. So our resolution, we did not define whether it was 0.8 acres or 88 acres. We just said it's a park. So it's subjective at this point. But the point is, all of it's a park right now. I believe, law director, correct me, the whole 88 acres is technically a park. I mean, it's open to the public. I don't know.
It's open to interpretation. He just wants a park with the house as a centerpiece. He did not define or delineate what that would look like.
But we did here.
We did,
That's the important
and his family member did, and the family member said basically it's the life estate parcel. That's a small park. That's what she was determining as the park.
So if only 0.8 acres is maintained, can you trust the county not to let the rest of it grow up to here?
No, I can't.
You have one nice little 0.8 acre place and the rest of it is just.
Well, if you're asking based on historical data, no, because the county has not maintained it. The school board was putting some kind of crazy pesticide killer, grass killer that was like just destroy. It was all pasture land. It was cow farm. The McClards right there, they were Mr. Brown's neighbor for almost 30 years. So it was all cow. It was pasture land. And so they were watching. So
Can you not ask for 5 acres rather than 0.8?
well, I'd rather them not, because why would that's just more for them, the nonprofit, to have to pay for to maintain. So I wouldn't want to do that.
I want to be clear on that too, because somebody asked me just the other day, is it your intent to take the entire 88 acres away from the school board? And I said,
No.
absolutely not. It's
Just
called
that.
out in here that it's
Less than an
0.8
acre.
acres, less than an acre. It's what his life estate was, and the meets and bounds to that will be provided in this packet too.
That was the county mayor's proposal as well. He suggested that.
Some people think there's trickery involved to keep them from doing something else with that 88 acres, and there's
We just want the
not.
house.
We simply want to focus on the house.
Yeah.
And whatever comes after that, so be it. It's going to start as a park, and it's going to be a small, quaint little park, and it can grow from there. We don't care after that what happens to it, as long as the house is still the centerpiece. But the house, will not be the centerpiece if it keeps on getting neglected. Currently, the bottom floor, almost all the windows are busted out of it. Glass all over the property. They've been boarded up. There's hornets' nests in almost every one of the windows. The place is trashed inside. It's just nasty. Grass chest high. It is neglected. There's critters living underneath of it. There's animals breeding underneath of it. Commissioner Klein can attest to that. We got pictures. We got pictures of baby vultures underneath of there. And it's a crime scene. The front door's being kicked in. The crawl space is open. It's just ridiculous the state of neglect this is in. Focus on the house.
Someone fell
Park
through the
grows.
staircase?
Yeah.
Someone fell through the staircase?
Cindy?
I do have a question. Any change or renovation that is decided on, does that have to go through the commission or the school board?
No, the goal was, what we were arguing tonight is that that was the law director wrote that into the lease agreement, but I'm like, no, that we shouldn't do that.
On the mayor's proposal.
On the mayor's proposal, because we might as well not give it to you guys as a nonprofit. It doesn't make sense. Does that answer your question? So I would be totally against that. It doesn't make sense. There'd be no reason for you guys to take it on if that's the case. The county should just finish the project and run it.
And if you don't mind, there is a nonprofit, if you would let the audience know that they can.
For donation purposes.
Well, you don't have your 501c3 yet, so they can donate. You can donate to a nonprofit.
If you'd like to say what the website or Facebook page is, so they can follow along when you announce that you are accepting donations, feel free to do that now.
Right now, I think
what is the page?
It's the Friends of the Latimer House on Facebook. It's like facebook.com/Friends of Latimer House.
So please follow that page if you're interested in watching this project grow.
Jim, he's the president of the nonprofit, the Latimer House, and Jim Latimer. You have a question, comment?
Just like as always, acknowledge Mr. Brown's wonderful gift to the county, because we would not have been anywhere even near fighting over this to try to get it done if he hadn't made the gift that he did and made the allowance that he did for the house. It's been far too long that we've gone almost 10 years and wrangled and spun our wheels and waited for the house to fall down to get anything done. That house has stood like a rock in the stream of time for over 200 years. If these walls could talk, they would repeat Plymouth, Saratoga, Long Island, Harlem Heights, New London. They would repeat names from American history that you could hear and that you could read about, that the people that built this house experienced and lived through. They would repeat Rock Island, Buchanan Station after they got to Tennessee. And I'm sure that my family members are here, the extended family members are here that with me take pride in what the family did. But we do not want to strip Mr. Brown's legacy, as has been mentioned by people online and everything. All that we seek is just the house to be noted as who built it and the family that came before. The park should always be named the William and Martha Brown Park.
How about this side of the room? Anybody over here? Y'all been kind of quiet.
Any other questions or any confusion about what we've talked about? I just want to make sure that nobody's confused about how the county bought the property, who actually gave money to who, and kind of what the intent is.
Well, does everybody know that Mr. Brown left, what was it, almost $8 million?
No, let's not go there.
Well, I'm just saying they're talking about a gift.
Yeah.
But that was part of his
That was
gift.
separate for the schools, had nothing to do with the county
Not-
or the house.
This is different. That's a separate thing.
But this is something that's simple. Like, I don't care if we debate and argue and don't like each other or whatever. Like, this is something we all should be able to agree on and have a win and to be able to hug each other and shake hands and say, look what we actually accomplished. You're talking about not getting along. Like, we've been fighting for 3 years to get this done, and we have people on this commission fighting us to not get it done, including the county mayor. And I don't understand it. It's like it's a win for everybody. This is a beautiful thing. Too bad it wasn't ready for the 250th celebration of America when you have a Jonathan Latimer who has fought in the Revolutionary War with Benedict Arnold, who this is his house. It's his son's house, that part of this process. Like, it's a shame that we missed that opportunity.
He only fought on the same side as Benedict.
Yeah, he wasn't with Benedict. He wasn't a traitor. He was a colonial. But
Opinion later on.
oh, yeah.
Benedict Arnold burned the town of New London around him.
There we go. So, but this should be really easy. So I'm glad so you guys come back next week, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. here in this room on the 11th, Tuesday the 11th for general operations. And it will be Commissioner Schmidt, Commissioner Jones, Commissioner Janung, and Commissioner Klein are on that committee. And I'm glad thank you guys for coming tonight so we can talk about this.
I would like to mention the other commissioners too, because if any of you have Commissioner Rogers, Darrell Rogers,
Commissioner Wynn,
Commissioner Wes Wynn,
Commissioner
or
Harris.
Commissioner Ben Harris, you need to reach out to them, because those are the other three members of the General Operations Committee. You need to encourage them to support whatever you feel is the right path. Hopefully we've won you onto this path, but if you feel otherwise, talk to your commissioner about it. And likewise, if you have other commissioners that aren't on general operations, whatever comes out of the General Operations Committee will probably go to the full commission, where all commissioners are going to have to vote on this. So encourage your commissioner. Reach out to who it is. If you don't know who it is, find out. Ask one of us. We'll help you find out. We need a consensus here.
I mean, the chairman of the Gen Ops Committee, Mr. Ben Harris, did call me to let me know that he was going to do a special call meeting over the weekend. And he said, I don't care if we're there at 2 in the morning on the 11th next week. He wants to have a resolution of something sent to the full commission that we can all agree on. So he's committed to being here to 2 in the morning next Tuesday.
If you guys are interested, bring your sleeping bags and pillows. Please come to the meeting and help us get this across.
I'm hoping that this process has helped them or helped you guys so we have some questions, some marching orders going into next week for your committee where we've debated and discussed this publicly. And Mr. McClard.
Just one quick thing. If you do want to reach out to commissioners, you can reach every one of them at countycommissioners@sumnercountytn.gov.
Yes, email the whole county commission with that address.
That goes to every one of them.
As a group.
Yeah.
I just want to add that, in addition to that, govotetn.com. You enter your address, and it will tell you
Who your commissioner is. Yeah. Or
it will tell you who your school board member is.
Tell you who your dog catcher is.
Anybody that depends on a vote. Govotentn.com. Just enter your address. It tells every single person that represents you, or doesn't represent you. Or doesn't.
Any other questions? I thank you guys for being. I know we've been here a good 2 hours and 15 minutes, and I knew it'd be at least 2 hours. Just it's a lot to discuss. But any other questions from the audience? I mean, we can stay here all night. We're used to it, but we don't want to keep you guys. So
please come back next Thursday.
Any other questions?
I would just tell people.
Next Tuesday. Sorry. The 11th.
Just keep emailing your commissioners. I mean, I've had conversations with Commissioner Harris. I feel like he's going to want to get this to the full commission, like y'all said. But that said, I take nothing for granted in life. So just
please email the county commission
going and just let them know.
Did everybody sign the sign-up sheet that I had passing around? Like at least right here. If you haven't, please do. Love to get your information. Well, thank you guys. We'll conclude this meeting and let you guys go home. And we're here to talk and answer any questions after. Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
Okay, so the first guy. Tim, the first guy who spoke said that the person he talked to had pictures of the old house.
I don't think it was. Well, that's some great deal of area.
Okay. That guy did? Well, if the friend of his that he said was good friends with Bill, they're the ones taking the wheel. They're the ones taking the wheel. You know, I won't know that. Yeah, you wrote it down.
You look for
Thank you for coming. Right. Remember the name of citizens.
We have not
because of what he said earlier about when I was trying to make nails and you got the way it would have to be put together.
But that's not all you do. Center reunion.
It's a sacrifice to everybody not
Civil Heritage area, and that's run through MTSU.
It's not like the past. I did
They've been to gallery.
That's why
That